Hi lovelies, welcome to the doghouse. It's just me today, I'm afraid. I'm Ria Bow, and Mike Phillip, who's usually over there, I got a sick note from, right? It's like being the boss again. So Mike, if you're listening, you need to work on your sick notes, you know. So he's not going to be here today. So Gary, night and day, I'm going to need all your help today. I debated not coming on, and I thought, well, no, come on. You know, consistency is the name of the game, and perhaps you guys would help me out as well. So it's quite important that you guys are sort of there to help out, as it were, or it was not going to go ahead, and I was just going to send a stream out saying it's not happening. But Mike's apparently going to drop some messages in if he's able to. Yeah, and he did some quality advice apparently by saying, look, as you know, you could always show some skin. So it's kind of good to know, right? What a top dude. Okay, so I'm going to move straight on with the weather. Hi Gary, hi night and day. Feels really odd, so bear with me. And I've also written a show for two people, not for one person, so I don't know how it's going to go. That's the deal. Hopefully the stream looks okay, everything looks okay, so just let me know you can hear it okay, see it okay, and it's all working okay, please. I'll run down the weather. Alberta -12, Toronto -6, England +8 but really quite stormy. Nice, south of France, +19, Malaga 21, Camrose -5, Cairo +18, Rio de Janeiro +32. Everybody down to Rio again. Rome +12, Cape Town +24, Moscow +3, Seoul, Korea -8, Mumbai +26, Tokyo +3, Sydney +19, Oslo, Norway +1. Okay guys, so there's just the two of you in the chat by the looks of it. I can't actually see the YouTube chat, but can you hear it okay? Is it working okay? Just let me know, that would be dead useful. And I'll just get straight on with a bit of the accent to see what's going on and see what you guys make of it. Crypto price isn't too bad. Bitcoin's back up to $15,056. So I've still got no messages. Is the messaging working? Can you hear me okay and all that kind of stuff? I'm going to play an accent and see if you can guess where this chappie is from.
Always affiliated. We started our own as kids, and everybody that was close when we were younger, we started our own, and we just went from there. And gradually we moved on to a different gang as we got older.
Bigger gang, yeah.
So where do you think he's from? We've got a new one joined. I don't know which platform it's on. Rusty. Hi, Rusty. Thanks for coming along. There's usually two of us, but today is only one of us. Hi, Eric. Thanks for letting me know all is good. We've got a long one in from night and day. So we had the accent. I'm going to play it one more time before I read any comments, okay? Have a listen to this again.
Always affiliated. We started our own as kids, and everybody that was close when we were younger, we started our own, and we just went from there. And gradually we moved on to a different gang as we got older.
Bigger gang.
Bit of a clue there, right? I could let it run a bit longer, but if anybody knows about their gang stuff, you're probably going to know where it's from. Okay, here's one to get you started, Ria. With so many televised Miss World competitions around the world, how would you feel about televised Mr. World competition as one of the girls? Yeah, I mean, would it do okay? Well, the Chippendales do well at sort of hen parties and stuff, don't they? So I don't see any reason why not. Why don't they do that? Because it's organised by men? I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. What do you think in the chat? Mr. World, you're probably not over keen on that kind of thing. I don't know. But yeah, what's the problem? I mean, I guess you'd have to have girls organising it though, or gay dudes, I don't know. Or someone that's sort of entrepreneurial and sees the possibility for a Mr. World. They kind of do a Mr. World, but he's a bodybuilder, isn't he? So that's a possibility that sort of it instead, because us girls like the dudes with the nice bods and they're ripped and everything. So, but thanks for bringing it in. Any goes on the accent? Do you want it one more time? Let's have a quick go. Oh, here's one in from Mike. Look. Oh, I've got it on the other one. Hello, people. Couldn't make it to the show today, but I've got it on in the background. So Mike's with us in spirit. And thanks for the sick note 40 minutes before the show, Mike. And the advice about show some skin, it should be okay. That's so funny. I've got another one. I think the mystery voice is from Belfast. Wow, so we've got a Belfast. Let me just get that down. Right, I'm going to chuck a couple in there to keep us going and stuff. So what do you guys make of Robert David Steele? I think is he ex-CIA dude or something? I've seen him popping up all over the place. And I wanted to know your guys' feedback on Robert David Steele. So that was one of them. I'm kind of on the fence. I thought he was okay, then I kind of viewed a video not reviewing him, but commenting on him, and it wasn't so positive, and I'm kind of now not quite sure where to go with Robert David Steele. So that's a bit weird. Also another one, so we've got a Robert David Steele in the mix, and we've got Iran. So it's all going off in Iran, right? So do we think there's foreign actors in there, black ops and so forth? So do we think that's being whipped up by a foreign entity kind of thing? I'm sure Mike could have had something to say about that. But yeah, a foreign entity in Iran. So two questions. Robert David Steele, what are your thoughts? And Iran, any foreign actors involved with that? Because it's suddenly sort of whipped up, isn't it? And the people are on the streets and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so if you can drop any comments in about that, that'd be great. And I wanted to talk about a little bit about cookies. What are cookies? What involved? Because we're involved with cookies every day in our lives on the internet. And I wanted to show you guys, not a name I'm familiar with, says Night and Day. I'll have to look him up. Well, yeah, I mean, he is quite well known. But if you don't know him, you don't know him, right? Robert David Steele. About cookies, right? So we're all dealing with them day to day. Can you guys get to the cookies to see who is tracking you? So basically the cookie deal, as far as I can see, if you don't know this, is when you go on a website for the first time, assuming it's for the first time, you'll see a disclaimer come up saying this site uses cookies. They call it cookies, right? But they're trackers. And as soon as you touch that site, as soon as you land on that site then drops cookies into your computer to track you, right? So the deal, the equivalent deal for the best part is this. Imagine going down the high street and you see a shop you've never been in before. You go to walk in the shop and you're stopped by somebody and they say to you, but this would be up front, you can come in the shop even if you don't buy anything, but we want to track everything you do in detail and then sell all that information on. So I wanted to show you guys, obviously I'm using Chrome and a lot of people use Chrome, but I guess there's Linux and Firefox and all sorts of stuff. Do you know how to see who's tracking you and what those trackers look like and stuff like that? So I was going to give you a guided tour. Right, so we've got DX Calvin, thank goodness for whistleblowers like Steele. Yeah, that's the kind of thing, that's the wavelength I was on, because he's a pretty outspoken guy, isn't he? I'm going to do a shout out at the end of the show for a lady that I've just discovered on the internet. Got a good following behind her, kind of like her vibe a lot, but I'm going to do a shout out a bit later. But I'm going to show you guys on Chrome how to find your cookies and see who's tracking you. I went through mine yesterday, but there's probably a load more on it. So I'll just whip over to the desktop if I can get that. And you can see my desktop. I'm now about to open Chrome to show you around. So you can obviously see that as okay. Oh, well, we've got one in from Night and Day. Cookies can be both a help and a hindrance. More often they are not, and the influencers are bombarded by adverts. Right, yeah, this is more than that. These behemoths like Google that you can see on the screen, and other entities sell this information. So if you're able to go through your cookie list to what you don't recognize, if you're on YouTube all the time, there's no point removing it. If you're on a website all the time, there's really no point in removing it. But I'll give you a guided tour. So I'm coming up to the top right. You can't see my little arrow thing, but you'll see the drop down, and in that drop down menu you will see a part that says more tools. Okay, so you open Chrome, go to the top right, click the button, the little orange button, and go down to more tools. Then come down here to clear all browsing data. Clear all browsing data, and it looks like this. Don't clear the browsing data for now, so just get rid of that, and you're left with this page. Okay, this is sort of the main page behind the browser if you haven't already been in here. And so this is pretty easy to do. So you're comfortable so far, go to the top right, click drop down menu, more tools, clear browsing data. Don't clear the browsing data, it's just a route to get to this page, because they haven't made it very easy to get to this page. Okay, right, so here we go. So we're going to cruise down, okay, and we'll see this let up here, privacy and security. You've got a series of features that you can activate or deactivate on the Chrome browser. So with this, we're going to go down to the bottom one here that says content settings. That's sort of what you're looking for, content settings. Still not obvious, is it? So we'll click on content settings, then you get this lot here, right? And this is the basics of the automation of the browser. So then you go to the top one that says cookies, click on that one. So then it comes across, as you can see, right? And now we're here, still not that obvious. Then it says see all cookies. Then you go to, and here they are, right? So this is how many cookies are on my machine. And there's loads of them. I'll just scroll down, as you can see. I won't move too fast because of the latency. And I mean, what is that? rcourt.com. Don't know. I'm not going to delete it because it will move it. So we've got other ones. What else we got? Google ones, earn.com. How did that get there? ggpht.com. Don't know what that is. And just what it is once they drop that cookie on and they start collecting that data, because we can take a look at, I don't know what this is, I've never looked at it, ggqht.com. Is that a Google thing to know? So we click on this arrow, go across, channel ID, open this one up, created on the 2nd, so it's only just gone in there, and I have no clue what that does. So we come down to something a bit more, let's have a look at another one, one that I don't recognize. Let's have a look. Google Hangouts, no. Jax, no. Live.com. What is that? 10 cookies they've put in there. So that's tracking me 10 times over, all doing different things. What do they do? What is that? I have no clue what that is. Then you open them up, and then look, it can send any kind and accessible to the script, so it can access all your stuff, all my stuff. Okay, so I'll carry on back a little bit. Hopefully this isn't too boring, but I just thought you'd like to know. And I was getting to the point where all these behemoths have loads of money, the Zuckerbergs and the Gulags and all that kind of stuff, and this is what's funding them. Okay, so that's important if you want to sort of help defund, even in a little bit. When you whip these cookies out, that stops the information going to that website, that stops them being able to sell your information. So if you've got any questions, you're welcome to ask. But I thought about it the other day, and I thought, if you was walking down the high street and you went to go into a shop, and say someone stopped you and said, yes, you can browse, but once you've entered, we're tracking you for life. And what you do, where you go, when you do it, from what site you jump to another, and they just follow you consistently. And you'd think about before you walked in there, wouldn't you? But we do it willy-nilly by when we click on the terms and conditions. So that's a little insight into that. I won't go into more on that. Hopefully you find that interesting and it's useful and stuff like that. It's not boring. Thank you, Lisa. But the key bit is you not only don't get tracked so much, but you don't give them money, that they're unable to sell you and your information. And I think that's kind of useful. And I whip through it once a week and go, oh my God, what's this? And how much money are they making out of it? And we'll never kind of know. So get on there and delete that. Thank you, KH. Happy New Year, because we had a little text, didn't we? Yeah, just get on there. Look at if you've not looked on your browser for I don't know how long, you're going to see hundreds. And that is all making these monopolies loads and loads of money. So that's another little way just to sort of kick back a little bit and not make it as easy for them, because we don't know. We just click those terms and conditions. It's not like the shopkeeper going, if you come in here, we're going to track you for life. They're not that straight up, are they? No, they don't do that. They go, our benefit is it remembers our password, right? And the rest is just all in their favour. The risk to reward sucks. It really does suck. Okay, so there's a little bit of stuff for you to cruise around your browser and get some of those dark forces off. Right, we're going to move on to another one. A bit of nerdy tech talk, which I was going to make Mike laugh with this. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, KH. Thank you, Lisa. It's really easy for you to do, you know, and you can just have a little bit of warmth in your heart going, these dark people that we don't know where they are, who they are, what they're going to use the money for, da-da-da-da-da, they get cut off. But as soon as you touch that site again, they're back on there. So there's no point taking off Twitter and YouTube. There's little point. There's little point, because you'll be putting it straight back on there. I could actually give you coding for a cookie cutter to make it much more difficult, but each time you go on there, you've got to do loads of stuff. Trump tweets, so he's from Night and Day. Trump tweeted New Year's Day. Oh, it's moving. Trump tweeted New Year's Day, we have given Pakistan 33 billion over 15 years. Really? And have had nothing in return. No more. Don't you just love the guy? Yeah, I'd like to see the paperwork. Yeah, I'd really like to see the paperwork. It is a weird thing. Is the whole geopolitical thing's weird. On one hand, we, you, them, support them to quite a lot of money, but then on the other hand, we're at war with them and we sell them arms, but we don't like them. And the whole geopolitical thing is, in fact, on the end bit, when you see the titles, when I play the music out and you see all the subjects, you'll see one that says geopolitics brackets the magician. And with that, I always go this route with that, referring to that kind of thing, is whenever you see on the mainstream media, which is run by the big conglomerates, this would have all been signed off. You see, oh, North Korea, North Korea, North Korea, North Korea. That's like a magician going, look at this hand, look at this hand, don't look at this hand. So as soon as I see North Korea or whatever, I look everywhere else but North Korea. And sure enough, you'll find stuff. When they first did the North Korea thing, I found out they moved a load of troops and there was stuff going on. So it's like the magician's hand. Can you do this for normal Google? Yeah, no, totally. Well, there is only normal Google, Eric Young. There's only, not sure what you mean. That is normal Google. Lisa, what else have we got? Lisa, what was the Snowden AP you told us about last week? Okay, that was Haven App. I can't remember whether it's org or .com. I can find out. It's Haven App. Yeah, I haven't tested it yet. I tried to run it on my backup phone. It wasn't an app problem. It was a phone problem because it hasn't been used for so long. Haven App. So if you just type Haven App in, there's loads of it. And it's on Twitter as well, I think. So check that out. Yeah, I want to get some reviews, really. So before I go recommending or anything like that. Obviously, it's Edward Snowden, so it carries quite a lot of kudos. But I would like to run the app, though, and see what it does. But I didn't really have much luck. Can you do this for normal Google? Yeah, I'm not sure what you're calling normal Google, but Google Chrome, there is no other Google, is there? It's Google Black, but that's no different in the way it works. Right, I'm going to move on to some more news. Nerdy news, but you may want to know this, especially because KH, you was without a laptop or something, or was it the internet? Right, any of you thinking of buying a computer, have brought a computer, and so on. You might be interested in this. Intel CPU have a major security flaw. Fixing it causes a huge performance hit. Reports are surfacing all across the tech world that Intel chips suffer from fundamental flaws that affect all of the company's modern CPUs. Modern, what does that even mean? It's impossible to fix it with a chip-based update and requires a software-based solution through the operating system, which in turn causes a performance hit of up to 30% loss in performance, right? So this is Intel. Gary, yeah, DuckDuckGo. I've used DuckDuckGo. It's quite good, isn't it? There's the other one as well that the Bat token did as well. Do you use DuckDuckGo? Gary, have you wiped your machine of Google? Yeah, just a question. So if you've got an Intel machine, and there's like most machines are Intel, aren't they? I think. So if you're going to buy a machine, or you're thinking about buying one, you don't buy that. You don't really want an Intel machine. You want AMD or whatever. Look somewhere else. But it's flawed in a big way. And so I went chasing around to find out what they meant by modern. And they mean the last 10 years. So the last 10 years of Intel, Intel CPU is like flawed in a really fundamental way. I won't go into the nerdy stuff, but there's a major flaw, and they're sending in updates apparently, and they're just going to slow it down by about 30%. It's not so bad on Firefox and Linux, and so on. Right, and while we're on the same topic of vulnerability in cyberspace, because let's face it, we all use it, right? It's part of our lives. Is don't forget, the most vulnerable piece of kit, if you bank online and stuff like that, is your router, or as you say, your router is the most vulnerable. You can do something about it. If you want to know more about it, just ask, and I'll tell you some ways to go about securing the router. But if you're not doing anything heavy online, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Don't forget to do a thumbs up if you like this. I'm sort of doing my best on my own. It's quite weird talking to yourself though. Thank you for the comments, guys. Any news you want to cover, I'll do it. Yeah, don't forget the thumbs up. I'll play you the accent again. So far we've got a Belfast. Where's this guy from?
Always affiliated. We started our own as kids, and everybody that was close when we were younger, we started our own, and we just went from there. And gradually we moved on to a different gang as we got older.
Bigger gang. Yeah.
Right, where's he from? Where do you think? So far we've got a Belfast. How interesting. DuckDuckGo, yeah, I've used DuckDuckGo. But I can't get rid of Chrome though. Right, okay, so what else have we got? Any other comments? Anything you want to cover? Also, we had somebody, if you're on, Hugh, but you can't get on the live chat, then hi Hugh, hi Mr. Jazz. DuckDuckGo is a search engine that does not track you. I still use Google from time to time, but mostly not. I have some accounts on Google. It's hard to get rid of, right? So, Gary, you saying DuckDuckGo doesn't allow cookies in it? Is that what you're saying with that? Because as soon as that cookie's in that machine. Okay, so we could do knowing more about DuckDuckGo. I used another one. I can't remember the name of it. Right, we move on to a little bit more news. China and Russia to crash Bitcoin and trade oil in yuan. Saxo Bank's outrageous prediction for 2018, published on the 1st of January. Bitcoin collapse. The bank predicts that next year Bitcoin will triple in value to around 60,000, with a market capitalization exceeding $1 trillion US dollars. After that, Russia and China will join to attack it. Let me move that down a little bit. The rise of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies has been one of the most spectacular phenomena of the financial markets in recent years. Bitcoin will continue to rise and rise higher during most of 2018, but Russia and China will together engineer a crash, the Danish bank predicts. This will lead to Bitcoin collapsing to $1,000 in 2019. How do they know that then? How does that work? That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. What, they got some inside stuff going on? It could crash down to $1,000. Who knows? But God, that kind of prediction. What do we even know about that? Right, what do we got, guys? Security is interesting. Security is interesting. If you have, or you know anybody that's been hit, then to make a few simple changes in online security, because it kind of is in our lives, isn't it? Kind of big time. I don't know how often you guys use it, but I certainly use it. I mean, I love it on one hand, but it's a real double-edged sword. We've got Chicago, DX Calvin, Chicago. So we've got a Belfast and a Chicago. And if you're on Facebook, I'm not able to see the Facebook messages, so you'll have to pop onto YouTube. Just type Rhea Bowen and you'll be able to jump on the live chat. Chicago. Wow, security is interesting. Kind of is, in a way. I guess it's not if you've not been hit, but if you've been hit, it's interesting. That's certainly for sure. Right, what else have we got? Night and Day, Rhea. What do you think to the marijuana being made legal in California? Do you think it should be made legal across the rest of the states and the UK? Ooh, that's a tough one, that. On one hand, I want people to live their lives. It's a plant, and it could strike up a big trade. I have a concern about the youngsters. I sort of do. If someone's got issues in their lives, and we've all had our demons, right? It can become out of place. So again, the same advice again that I said to the flat Earth guy. If you're going to put energy into it, put a bit into it. But don't let it just take over your life and define who you are. If your friends start calling you a pothead or a smoker, that is defining who you are. And whoever's doing this stuff a lot, you are way, way more than that. Way more than that. So if your friends go, oh, they're a pothead or whatever, you are now being defined by something habitual. So I'm all for having a smoke and having a good time and all that kind of stuff, no matter where you are in the world. I personally don't have a problem with it. Christ, you can grow it in the back garden, right? Good as gold. But if you start to become defined by it, you need to take a back step, turn and face your demons, and put them to bed so it finds its rightful place, wherever that rightful place is. Should it become legal? I don't know. I'm on the fence, really. I see some of the youngsters, professional Facebookers. And just getting wasted and not doing anything, and they're spending time they've spent that they can't get back. And I don't know, I think there is some growth. Well, there probably is personal growth in it, but whether it's helping them fulfill their potential, I don't know. I have a concern. I've seen a lot of potheads and it just defines them, and I would like to see somebody be defined by something that really contributes to society, even just their local thing in the family or whatever, rather than, oh, they're just a pothead, because I've met a few along the way, having been a student. It's working in Portugal. Right, I need to read the rest of this. I missed. Where are we? Decriminalisation of drugs. Then if everyone caught due to criminal activity are put into rehab, not prison. Decriminalisation of drugs, then if anyone caught due to criminal activity are put into rehab, not prison. Yeah, sort of like, well, what was the Norway thing and the Iceland thing? Rather than you're really bad, it's like this has got hold of you, and we need to find out why it's got hold of you and why your moral compass hasn't kicked in and said, whoa, wait a minute, whoa. You know, it's in every day in my life, and I'm not moving forward. I'm not being productive spiritually, physically, mentally, whatever. And don't be defined by it. That's all I'd say. You know, do go and live your life. You know, as long or short as that is, but just don't let it define you. Don't let that be all you are, because I know a few people like that. Don't really understand it's working in Portugal. What's working in Portugal? I don't understand, KH. Sorry, bit thick. What have I missed there? I've missed something there. Lisa, Rhea, Department of Homeland Security reports terrorists will use drones for biological attacks. Yeah, I mean, darling, I think that's scare stuff. Biological attacks are available to so many that they're saying there's a big one travelling through Africa right now. It's dark stuff. We have no solutions to it. The bio one is worse than the nuclear one, isn't it? Because the nuclear one, there's a certain amount of security theatre involved. You've got this country saying this country saying that, then another one jumps in, gives it a stir, sells some arms, pumps the so-called news stations with all this stuff, and they develop sales. Remember, I mean, I don't want to teach you to suck eggs, right? But we live in it's capitalism, okay? And rule one of capitalism is to capitalise. So vulnerability and volatility equals opportunity, and it's encouraged for someone to capitalise on that opportunity. So it's really that simple, and it's going on everywhere, isn't it? You got these vulnerable people, you got volatile people, volatile states, and then instantly an opportunity is seen, and it is encouraged for a society, a person, a group to go in, seize the moment, be the whatever, and capitalise on that vulnerability. So it's in every working mechanism, I feel, that we live in our daily lives, even to its most basic form. So I don't want to lose the plot there too much. So the biological attack, the best I've got on it, Lisa, is fingers crossed is quick, which most of them aren't. And when my time's up, my time's up. I'm not going to be held to ransom by the US or anybody with regards to biological attack. You know, God, we are wide open to it. But you've got to look, I think we need to look at the end user that's going to release the biological attack. And what's their end game? What's their exit strategy? What do they want to do? What do they want to achieve by levelling a load of people? And there's obviously a million answers to that, which I don't have. But at the same time, you've got to look at, they could have done it years ago. I mean, look at anthrax. Well, I won't break down, but you kind of can't kill anthrax. It's a really weird thing. And so biological attack, I'm not worried about it. I'd sooner just go up in vaporised in a nuclear thing, if I had a choice. But they could probably sell more drugs. Yeah, no, if it was life-threatening, they wouldn't be able to sell the drugs, would they? Right, let me read some more out. But thank you for the questions, guys. Love y'all. What else have we got? Gary Kemper. I could see that, Lisa. Right, okay. Corrado KH. Portugal has decriminalised all drugs, and crime and abuse rates are going down daily. Fantastic. I mean, what was it? I saw a clip from a lady, like policewoman, saying stoners aren't the problem. They just want to roll a joint and eat a pizza, which is fair enough. So in terms of that, I'm brilliant. But you don't. Does that make sense? Don't let it define who you are. You know. Just don't let it define who you are. You know, recreational, great, but the clue's in recreational, isn't it? You know, that's it really. Just enjoy it, but don't let it define you. That's all I've got to say about it really. What else have we got? Night and Day. If marijuana were made illegal more widely, I suspect the big pharmaceuticals would corner the market and turn a massive profit for the shareholders, along with paying little or no tax in the progress. No doubt. I mean, what can you say about Big Pharma? God, that takes me into vaccines and the fact that Merck have got the patent on the triple, the MMR. I mean, I wouldn't let my kids have it. No chance. You get this stuff near my kids and I'll put a hit on you. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to do that to my kids. And sticking this stuff in little wee super cutie babies when... Oh, it's just crazy. It's like fluoride in the water. How can that be good for a baby? They've got no teeth, right? It's just like people don't pick up on it, do they? Potheads, wake up. Yeah, just don't let it define you. Go to a party, a rave, whatever, and just you live your life, but leave it back there, you know, and bring some balance onto it. Right? I won't go on anymore. Right, let's play the accent again and see if we've got any other takers. And so far we've got Belfast and Chicago. How interesting. That's varied, isn't it? Here it comes.
Always affiliated. We started our own as kids, and everybody that was close when we were younger, we started our own, and we just went from there. And gradually we moved on to a different gang as we got older.
Bigger gang.
Bit of gang talk. Is that a clue? I'm guessing that's where DX Calvin got Chicago from. Don't know, because that's all a bit nuts, isn't it? I'll take one from Eric Young. How will it affect me if I delete all my cookies? Would it affect me at all? It will affect you. It's all that'll happen. Let's say you really was cross with these behemoths that are going to they do control our lives, and they're going to control our lives even more. If you delete all your cookies, that cuts them off from their money, basically. They cannot sell your data because they're not receiving the data. But when Google has been put in a machine, just because you uninstall it doesn't mean you've got rid of Google by any stretch of the imagination. The only way I know to fully rid a machine of Google is you have to do a clean install, which is a proper pain in the bum. But to answer your question, if you delete all the cookies, when you go on to use a site that you use regularly, whatever, YouTube, it won't recognize who you are. So you have to sign back in again. And things like, that's all it is really. That is the only benefit to us that I can see in cookies. The autosave passwords done in your own personal browser, that's not stored in the cloud. So it still keeps your passwords, but it just won't recognize you when you go to sign in. So effectively, providing it isn't switched off, your auto passwords will come on and you just click go and you go back in again. And that's all it does. It just won't remember who you are. That is our only upside. Right, KH, we've got Toronto accent. How interesting. Toronto. And Ontario. Phoebe. Hi, Phoebe. No Mike today. Coming with a sick note. Yeah, I've seen some sick notes in my time. Ontario. Okay, so we're getting there. We've got Belfast, Chicago, Ontario, Toronto. Great, I'll do it. You do it, Eric Young. Yeah, that's all that happened. Biggest downfall, if you're banking online, you'd have to sort of authenticate because it won't recognise. It'll recognise your machine IP and your general IP that you use. But yeah, that's it. You can cut them off and go, stick that where the sun don't shine. So there's a kind of feel good thing about it. Accents coming along nicely. Bit more news. The UK's National Health Service cancels all operations except emergency operations for 1 month. It's happened. The National Health, I mean, you guys in Canada and the US or wherever you are, you don't have freebies, do you? You pay for yours. Well, in England, it's a freebie, right? Although, you know, we've got people pouring in and it's overloaded and all that. And finally it broke on the 1st of January, where unless it's an absolute emergency operation, they're not allowing any operations for the next month. So it reminds me of The Alchemist. For you who have ever read The Alchemist, some things happen once, but if they happen twice, they're probably going to happen a third, fourth and fifth and so on. So this is the first time this has happened in England, where the NHS has gone, no, we just can't do it. And the discussion goes on and on. So if you're in for an op in the UK, you're not going to get it done this month, I'm afraid. Okay, on Twitter, moving on Twitter, did anybody check out the Pat Condell that I tweeted out? Wow, did anybody see it? It got taken down off of YouTube. I was going to play it on the last show. Was it the last show? I think it was the last show. But I thought, God, if I show it, it's just going to be struck out. Sure enough, it was struck out. Did any of you guys watch the Pat Condell video? Oh my God, how cool is he? Okay, just drop it in the chat if you saw the Pat Condell. I'd love to hear your feedback. Straight talking dude. And then I got sent in the OIC. I think, was that you, Gary? Was it that sent the OIC, or was it Hugh? Not really sure. I took a look at the OIC, and I think you've been talking about it on Kevin's show and stuff like that. And I don't know how much it's prevalent on Kevin's show, but I'm pretty sure it's out there being talked about. And I took a look at it, and then I kind of forgot about it, got on with life, and it kept popping back in the front of my mind of what's going on. And I keep arriving at the same thing. I'm just not surprised. The whole operation geopolitically, in my view, is one of they're playing Machiavelli cards. If it's a game, for me, they are just... The book was called The Prince. It was called Machiavelli, from Florence in the mid-1400s. And his rule one of war was, do not take with power that you can take with deception. And I just see every country in every land doing it. They'll just deceive us, and we are quite easily fooled. So with the OIC, I'm not surprised that they say this word means this to us, but means that to them. So kind of not surprised, really, that they're just... We live in a world of deception and perpetual war, don't we? And all that kind of stuff. KH, not yet. It's in my to-do list. Okay, no problem. Right, I'll move on to another one. It's Bitcoin's birthday today. Right. The first Genesis block was mined of Bitcoin in 2009 today, January the 3rd. It's my birthday tomorrow. So it's Bitcoin's birthday today. First mined in 2009, 3rd of January. Okay, I'll move on to another one. Oh, here comes a long one. Look, let's have a look. It seems to me that despite the additional money the UK government are putting into the NHS, the population growth is outstanding. Outstripping its capability to cope with the growing numbers. No doubt. I mean, what did they think was going to happen? I go around and I hear English people, and I'm sure it's the same your end, going, oh, it's run by idiots, it's run by idiots. It's not run by idiots. It's not. It's run by calculating, deceptive people. I'm the idiot, to be honest, for thinking they're idiots. They're not idiots. They know exactly what they're doing. You know, it's basic physics, isn't it? Where, you know, you've got little old England where everything's free. Then you've got the rest of Europe with some, 30 odd countries in Europe, and some are really poor, you know. So you tell me, what's going to happen? Are they idiots, or do they know what they're doing? You know, they know what they're doing, right? And what could possibly go wrong holding up a sign for a little island? Come over here, it's all free. And really, the NHS can't cope? Funny, isn't it? Funny old world. Right, we've got another one. It's just a joke. We won't have the NHS much longer. I've said this to my mum for like quite a while. KH, Ria, what do people in the UK do with the leftover turkey? Special recipes? KH, I don't cook. I don't like turkey. So we don't do turkey. So I've got leftover recipes. I could talk about a Spanish tortilla. I like those. That's really easy, isn't it? And I cook. What do I cook? I do country style cooking. Really chunk. I cook big. When I cook big, and there's a lot of it. But no special recipes though, sweetie. Not for turkey. I make soups and stuff with leftovers, old school farm style. But no special recipes for turkey, because in fact I don't know anybody. I've had a Jamaican Christmas once. All black family, Jamaican. It was curry goat, rice and pea. And it was just a fabulous time making all this food in the middle of this beautiful kitchen. And I got the job of helping my friend Lorna do a Jamaican Christmas, and it was far out. And I had to run away from the party because I got approached by this guy that was unbelievably big and unbelievably forward. Yeah, I just run away. What else we got? What did we do? Right, okay. So I love to cook, though. I really do love to cook. Right, a bit more news, moving it on. Oh, look, there's more coming in. We'll go on to this news one before I read that. Oh, happy birthday for tomorrow. Thank you, night and day. Mike, what did it say? The same to you, Mike. Of course it's Mike's. Happy birthday for tomorrow, Mike. Brothers and sisters from a different mother and all that kind of stuff. Right, moving on to the next one. A visit to Facebook's recently opened centre for deleting content. Just breathe that in. A visit to Facebook's recently opened centre for deleting content. This was published on the 2nd yesterday. Our tour of one of Germany's newest content moderation centres gave us a look at Facebook's content moderation and what it means for the people who have enforced its deletion rules. For the first time, Facebook granted journalists access to its new centre in Essen. I've been there. Germany, for deleting content from platforms in the 5-story building, more than 400 employees are already deleting comments, photos and videos that break Facebook rules. Germany's clamped down on it, haven't they, pretty hard. But they've got a deletion centre. I just imagine if I said that to my dad, he would not have a clue what I was on about. How far out is that? A deletion centre in Essen, Germany, and all that stuff. I got locked out of Facebook at the weekend for 2 days, Sunday and Monday. They don't like me. I don't like me at all. I don't know why. I'm not that. I'm sort of careful with what I sort of assume a certain level of intellectual capability, so you don't need to say it direct, or I don't feel that I need to say it directly. You guys know, right? I prefer that kind of form of communication sort of thing, if that's what's possible. Right, we move on to another one. In fact, I'm going to play the accent again, guys. Have another listen, see where this guy's from.
Always affiliated. We started our own as kids, and everybody that was close when we were younger, we started our own, and we just went from there. And gradually we moved on to a different gang as we got older.
Bigger gang,
Yeah.
Right, where's he from? Where do you think? And so far we have Belfast, Chicago, Toronto and Ontario. Can't say Ontario very well. Okay, this is a funny one. If Mike was here, he'd chuckle with this. Egypt says Bitcoin currency is prohibited by Islam. Published the 2nd yesterday. Egypt's Dar al, the cursor's in the way. Dar al Lafta, something like that. LFTAA, don't really know how to say it. Yesterday issued a fatwa, brackets Islamic ruling, that deems Bitcoin virtual currency is forbidden by Islam. Do you think it says it in the Quran? Bitcoin. You can't use Bitcoin. You can put it through the slot, can't you? No, we won't do that. Bitcoin could be harmful to the country's social and economic security. Dar al-Lafta said the currency could break through the National Security Centre and financial systems. And he went on to sort of say, it's only terrorists that use it. Nuts, right? Who are the terrorists? I'll leave you to answer that, right? Won't go there. We just do that thing, right? Who are the terrorists? Right, let's pick up another one. Lisa Leto. Germany is historically a troublemaker. Yeah, that's hard to argue that, isn't it? That's really tough to argue that. I mean, I've been to Germany a lot and I love the place. It's just a great country, great people. They are who they are culturally. They're to the point, and everybody buys German engineering, right? Because it kind of works and they're efficient and all those kind of things. It's a cultural thing. I love Germany. Heidelberg is a beautiful place, a student city. Hung out there for a while. Kiel in the north. I could go on and on and on. But it is the concern with. I think it's like Islam, Muslims, and migration. There needs to be, in my view, a differentiation between someone who's genuine and someone who's not. And when it's just a generalization of it's Islam, I don't think so. Some of the most lovely people I've ever met in my life have been Muslim, right? So from my personal experience, they were lovely people. So there needs to be we need to differentiate between who's trouble and who's not. And that clear line, that border is not clear. And some of that lies with authorities because of the vetting service. So when people are bitching on about whatever, about migrants, refugees and so on, I want to see the paperwork. I want to see, what does your authority do to vet who's coming in? What hoops do they have to jump through to integrate? I mean, in the UK, we had a massive movement, a quiet, massive movement of Polish people coming in. They've been accepted because they embrace the way of life. They get their heads down. They're known in the UK as really good workers, and they're easy to get along with. They learn the language. That's okay, right? I don't have a big problem with that. There was a bit of sort of tension going on for jobs, this, that and the other, understandably, when you get a sudden move in a culture. But it's the same for the Muslim. We need a clear guideline to be able to differentiate between who's a goodie and who's a baddie, no matter what you're wrapped in or what you read. That, for me, is not clear. Right, okay, I'm stirring the pot now, right? Let's have a look. It is, Lisa, the USC, you know, Hitler and everything, but that's not all German people. When you say Germany, I think there needs to be clarity on previous German authority, not the German people. It's like blaming American people for America raining peace down on various different countries. It's not the American people, you know, in my view. So there needs to be a clear line of who's a goodie and who's a baddie. Night and day, what Egypt... where on earth did they get that rubbish from? Idiots. That sounds familiar. KH, did you see the video Tommy Robinson made exploring fatwa against snowmen? I didn't. I know Tommy Robinson, right? He lives just up the road from me. He lives about 20-minute drive. And I worked in Luton for a short period of time, which is his hometown. And it has changed beyond all recognition. You know, there's safety in numbers, isn't there, for all of us? It's a natural human behaviour. And if we was going to move abroad, right, if you was going to move abroad, say you was going to pick a country, South America, Acapulco, let's say you're going to move to Acapulco, right, you would search out, you know, it's a primal drive, people that sound the same, from maybe you have something in common with. It's a natural process. You know, if you look at in a petri dish of bacteria, it will find itself. It's a culture. It's a cultural thing, you know. And I would do it. I've been abroad, and as soon as you meet someone who speaks the same language, looks a bit the same, bingo, you got yourself a connection, and you gravitate towards each other. And that's what's happened in cities in England. Luton, Leicester, Bolton. You know, there's these massive enclaves of Asian people. And some of the youngsters are a bit wayward, but so are ours. But again, I don't have a problem with Asian people. You need that clear guideline of who's a goodie and who's a baddie. For me, I'm not just going to judge somebody because of where they were born. You know, if they're from, I don't know, wherever, I'm not just going to say, oh, well, they're automatically bad because they were born there. That's completely arbitrary. I'm not going to do guilty until proven innocent. No, I'm not going to do that. That's not just to me. I'll give you trust until you prove otherwise. Otherwise, you're okay. And that's why I choose to go about things. I'm not going to judge somebody because of an arbitrary place that they were born. Right, I'll take some more. I don't mean to go off on a tangent, sorry, but it's just me. There's no one to pull me up. The argument with Muslims made not allowing snowmen was made hilarious with... I bet it was. He's a good guy, isn't he? And you just know, you can feel the real, right, in Tommy Robinson. I can. I think he's a good guy. And it is a shame to watch your hometown become something else in a really short amount of time that maybe you don't agree with. No, we got that one. I like Germany too, Rhea. I've been there a handful of times. Both the people and the country as a whole are simply lovely. Austria too. Just whatever, same. Totally. All countries have got good and all countries have got bad, you know. But we do, within the vocabulary that we use in, if we are pointing and judging, I think that's a point of real clarity to say, I'm not going to judge. There's no way I want to judge all Muslims. The hand on heart, right? The loveliest person I have ever met was Muslim. Her name was Ugbad Bint, and she just oozed loveliness and love and kindness. And that is enough for me. Even if I hadn't met her, I'd still be the same. But and my head of accounts, when I used to run these companies, he was a lovely guy. Soft as butter, do you know what I mean? He was just a lovely, lovely person. So that defining line, I need to know before I go judging people whether they're good or bad. And there's no way it's going to be all Muslims or all Christians or whatever faith. That's your choice, you know. But that defining line of good and bad, that needs sorting out. So I would love to see the paperwork that goes with that to prove whether they're good or bad. Well, let me take some more. Smiley face DX Calvin, thank you, that's lovely. They just re-elected Merkel, though, I wouldn't have put money on that. There's no way I would have put money on that. How, that is, that's iffy, that is. And Germany as well. Well, we all have a same as like you guys on the other side of the pond. You see like Brits as tea with the Queen. That's gone. You'll get it in the sort of wealthy, sort of rural areas, kind of where I am, but you don't get it in towns and stuff. That's gone. That Mary Poppins, Dick Van Dyke thing, that's long gone. Long gone. It's now, if you went to London or Paris or Berlin, Berlin, they all look the same. It's multicultural with a massive influx. This happened very quickly that has absolutely shocked the locals. And of course, one of the issues that you guys are having as well is you have a concern, and rightfully so. Who could argue that? You get back racism. You could probably do a bit of work there maybe by defining who's good and who's bad. But they have not done anything to go to the community and hold meetings for their community to share their concerns. And that's a major problem. And I think I did the first show I ever went on Kevin's, maybe I sort of said like, that won't do, lady. And it won't do. Local people have a voice, and they should have a voice, and their concerns should be seen as concerns and not racism. And I think that needs breaking down. And for me to contribute to that in a positive way for your community, I would need to see paperwork, and a lot of it. I used to do a lot of audits, and for me, I need that paperwork. I need to know who's moving, who's not moving, how many have you taken on, how much did it cost, what's the prognosis, what's the diagnosis, what's the upside for the there's just endless amounts of question, but they need to prove it in paperwork that's signed off, so it's not just some lady giving a load of numbers with no substance kind of thing. So I'm all about the paperwork and the numbers, right? Right, let's move it on. Is it simple common sense? You want to know who is coming into your house and what that, isn't it? Right on, Phoebe. Totally. It's a real concern. It's happening here. It happens in Europe. It's happening in your end. It's happening everywhere. That the local people that have paid into a way of life is being threatened. They feel that it's being threatened. You need a voice, and you need to be reassured with hard facts, figures and numbers. And that some social economists has looked at this, say, we've got an influx of 10,000. The social economics behind it are this. We're going to build this many schools. We've got this many houses. And at the same time, we're going to house and deal with vulnerable people that are already in the community so they don't get left out, which would be understandable. It's not rocket science. And that's what the concern is. And that is where I would see the weak point, in that they're not giving local people the voice. And as soon as you're not going to, for me, I wouldn't go in hard. I would go in with all questions and no firing. And I just would gather information, matters of fact, to be able to then approach and go, look, your own words, and build a thorough case. And I would do it in a sort of diplomatic kind of way, which I realise isn't everybody's cup of tea, as it were. Right, I'll move on. I agree, Phoebe, totally. Night and day. You're right, Rhea. There isn't a culture on the planet that doesn't have both good and bad in it. Totally. We just need to extradite what bad when we find it. Absolutely. It's a very sensitive subject, and it is, I think, worldwide. I think it's like, the social economists know that popularism or nationalism or right wing, and if right wing is sort out your own backyard before you go romping around in someone else's, then I'm right wing, right? Sort out your own baggage before you go pointing the finger at other nations saying you're doing a rubbish job, we're going to come and help you. It's the last thing you want to hear, right? But they know that nationalism is a contagion, and they know also it's going to be growing through 2018. So with that, they know exactly what they're doing. They're not idiots, guys. And I'm sure you know it. They are not idiots. They're playing that 101, the Prince, Machiavelli. Do not take with power that you can take with deception. And that's what I see everywhere across the whole global economic game. It's never about, ever about one move. Ever. So when you see, in my view this is, when someone's shouting about something, North Korea or whatever, it's never just about North Korea, is it? This will have a history going back as long as you want, sort of thing. It will be one move in a grand chess game of what they see their exit strategy to be to gain more resource for the empire. And this is the way that it goes. It's never just about one move, right? Right, okay, I'm going to move on. I won't rabbit on. Oh my God, we've done the time. That's shocking, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. I've sort of done my best. It's quite difficult. In fact, this is the first time I've ever done this kind of thing. So I want to thank you guys for coming along. You've made it really doable, and I love your comments and what you have to say. And it's lovely for me to feel out who you are. And hopefully what I've said isn't too off. I mean, they're my views. On one hand, I sort of don't care what you think. They are my views and I'll keep it real with you. But on the other hand, you know, if I can help your community or what you do in some way, I'm happy to help, you know. Love and peace always and all that kind of stuff, right? I'm a lover, not a fighter. But I do like to put a good strategy together. Right, okay, so what else have we got? You're doing great on your own today, Ria. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're very kind. I nearly bailed, but then I went, take a deep breath and see how we do. Right, okay, so what else have we got? Right, play the accent. Anybody else got any ideas on where this dude is from?
Always affiliated. We started our own as kids, and everybody that was close when we were younger, we started our own, and we just went from there. Yeah. And gradually we moved on to a different gang as we got older.
Bigger gang, yeah.
What was the gang you were in when you were kids?
Oh, where do we think he's from? Okay, I won't hold you up any longer. We've got Belfast, Chicago, Toronto, and Ontario so far. Right, okay. I'll give you a clue. I need to look at a map to be sure. It's in Canada. Okay, so it's in Canada. Right, okay, so what else have we got? I've got my notes here for Mike. I miss you, Mike. What have I got for the doghouse? So, he's not from Alberta. No, he's not from Alberta. What have I got for the doghouse? Two-faced NGOs. Non-governmental organisations. They're going on, right? The Soroses and, you name it. They're just endless. Two-faced NGOs that are part of the Black Ops and all part of overturning puppet governments. You're in the doghouse because you do so much damage. And again, it's that deception thing. So for me, for the doghouse, it's two-faced NGOs that say they're this, but they're actually that. And my God, don't we live in that world of they say this, but it's actually that. Just shocking. Where else? I've just got one come up there. Newfoundland. Does that mean Newfoundlands? Lisa, does that mean Newfoundland? I'm not familiar with Newfie. I think Newfie means Newfoundland, doesn't it? Maybe? I'm guessing it's Newfie. What a great name. Newfie. I love that terminology. Newfie, you did amazing today. Thank you, Phoebe. I do my best, you know. When I format shows, and because I've produced a few shows, Newfoundland, I was right. Yay! I'm pleased with myself, right? Newfie, I've got some terminology, all right. Local. Yes, Newfoundland, American at radio. I miss you, Mike. Sick note. Rubbish. Gonna have to have some stick for that when you're back on. Right, so where are we? Oh, bless you. Bless you. And I didn't do any skin, right? That would have been a last resort. So, where are we? Walpole Islands. Walpole Island. Don't know that one. And I don't even know where to begin with that one, actually. And again, if you're on Facebook, I can't see the messages on Facebook. I've tried to get it work. I've jumped through the hoops. Facebook really doesn't like me in a big way. I deserve a spanking. What do you do with that? I could tell you some story. I've got some Facebook messages. You know, when I started the Facebook, look, I won't go on to. No, I'll do it another day. So I was going to read out some of the Facebook messages I got. Oh my God, just outrageous, outrageous. I'm not going to go into it today. I'll save it for when Mike's around. You do deserve a spanking with how would you like that? With the butt of a rifle, I'm sure. Right, okay. Thank you, Eric. Young. Good luck with your cookies, guys. Yeah, get it. Just go through and empty out the rubbish. Don't delete the YouTube ones if you use that, and whatever ones. Ones that look familiar, what do? If you want to go to a cookie cutter, or you can do Gary's one where you can use DuckDuckGo. I'll check that out. I'd like to... my nomination for the Doghouse is the new Facebook Centre for Germany. I get that, but I don't know how much choice they've got, because they're now the fines are like colossal and stuff like that. So on one hand, I get it, but on the other hand, they've got no choice. I don't think they've got any choice. This is a government thing, shutting down free speech. This is bizarre. I mean, it's got to go to accountability, hasn't it? In the sense that you got the First Amendment and all that in the US about free speech. Like, I learned that free speech is at its most important when you don't like what you're hearing. There's no challenge, there's no conflict if you like what you're hearing. But if you don't like what you're hearing, that's when you need free speech exercise. So, yeah, that's a bizarre thing, that. Walpole Island is an island, the First Nation reserve in the southwestern Ontario Island. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Foreigner, right? So, Walpole, right, no, it wasn't right, okay. Walpole is First Nation reserve in southwestern Ontario, Canada. You're really close, but not close enough, right? You ready? They talk like that. Okay. Okay, right. So he was from, right? I'll play it one more time.
Always affiliated. We started our own as kids, and everybody that was close when we were younger, we started our own, and we just went from there. And gradually, we moved on to a different gang as we got older.
Bigger gang, yeah.
What was the gang you were in when you were?
Right. Okay. So he was from Winnipeg. He was one of the 10% Aborigines from Winnipeg in the gang culture. From Winnipeg, guys. I didn't even know they had a 10% population of Aborigines. Don't know how that works. We just got one popping up here. Do they still have Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park in London? Yeah, they do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they do. I mean, you got to remember that London, Winterpeg. Yeah, the free speech thing, Speaker's Corner, I can't remember what I was thrown out by that. Bad town. Right, so, okay, what we got for the shout outs is, okay, shout outs. We've got a shout out for Bill Church, right? Did anybody see he's kind of come on the show? He's a lovely guy. I see him on with the Dollar Vigilante, and I just thought he had a earthiness to him, a kind of a bit of a spiritual side. So I contacted him. He's lovely. He sort of does animal behaviour. That's how he sort of started out, and he's an anarchist. But he was training animals, and he relates that to human behaviour. And you'll be interested to hear Bill's take on our behaviour, not necessarily ours, but human behaviour, and how close it is with the dog, and how we break this behaviour that isn't good for us. He's an anarchist, an open anarchist. I love that. Can't wait until he's on, because we had a chat for about half an hour. He's in Washington, and we were sort of on the same page. So I'm really looking forward to having Bill Church on, and I'll put that out on Twitter and stuff as to when he comes on. High Crime American that goes back out. 1 minute. Okay. Oh, did your sick note only last an hour, Mike? Right, okay, so here we go. What else we've got? Must watch shout outs. I've got, have you heard of this YouTube channel? You Are Free TV on YouTube. You Are Free TV. I kind of like her. I've been checking her out. She had Robert David Steele on, and they're simple, to the point. She seems clear in her mind. I think she's really palatable. You Are Free TV. Like her, I do. Website shout outs. If you're into the international geopolitical scene, check out the Centre for Research on Globalisation. They're on Twitter. The brackets are CRG, the Centre for Research on Globalisation. I use that sort of daily, pretty much, to see what's going on in the world. And another website shout out called PooTube. Have you heard of PooTube? Right, Poo spelt PEW. PooTube. It's just started. It started in August. It's like YouTube, but only just started. So I find that fascinating. I think we should all put a shout out to you, Rhea. Great one woman show today. You're very kind. Thank you, guys. That's it. We've done it, and we've done it and some, as you say in America. I'm really looking forward to having Mike back. If he does another sick note, I can't wait to see what it says. Do you know what I mean? Right, guys, I love you all. Thank you so much for being a part of this. You're as big a part of this as I am, by any stretch of the imagination. I love you all. I'm going to play you out. Love and peace from me, Rhea Bow. This was the Doghouse. If you're watching on Facebook, type Rhea Bow in YouTube to get on the live chat. Thank you all so much. And I'll see you on Friday, hopefully, with a Mr. Mike Phillip. But until then, I'm going to play you out some music. Love and peace always. Bye-bye.